Welcome, guys, to the Real Man Podcast. This is your host, Coach Chris, and I'm honored once again to have a real man in my presence to talk to. And this is Coach GArrett from Goldsboro, across from Goldsboro, owns that. He also owns a couple other places, Clean Eats down there. He also is an axe throwing guy. He has an axe throwing place down there. So this guy's multi-faceted in entrepreneurship. And this guy, I got to know him through our mastermind with one of my groups. And he really, he really impressed me how he handles himself and how he does things. He listens to advice, takes things in, and then he goes and applies it. He doesn't think he knows everything. He learns from other people, which is how men should be. We don't know everything, but we learn and we grow, and that's important here. So without me going on any further, I want to introduce Coach White. Coach, how are you today?
Great, man. Good to see you guys. Thanks for having me on.
Man. So it's an honor, and I want to get right into it. So this is all about being a real man. How can we help men out there that may be struggling, maybe don't know where they're at in this world, their positioning and stuff. And I wanted you to answer some of these questions that I have. And the first one I wanted to go into is, how do you define leadership?
Yeah, so leadership to me is being able to serve and empower others. Sometimes that looks great. That sounds awesome. Sometimes there's a whole bunch of other stuff that goes behind it that looks like this. All right? It's dirty. It's ugly. There's the good and the bad. But when it comes down to it, developing a staff or being on a staff or being on a team, you've got to serve your teammates, your coworkers, your spouses, your relationships, and then you got to serve yourself as well. So I always go back to when it comes down to leadership, it's having respect for others, respect for yourself, and then finding whatever it might be to be able to lead, encourage, motivate, drive, push, whatever it might be, to put yourself in a leadership position like that. And it looks, we can, relate it to sports and fitness, and we know what that looks like, going out there as a team, having a goal as a team and trying to accomplish it, and everyone playing their pieces of that part. And then, you can talk about business. There's some people who are in business individually, and there's people that are, doing operations like me. It's a team atmosphere. I don't care if it's axe throwing, real estate, restaurant, gym. At the end of the day, we've got teams. And, my biggest thing as a leader is I'm not only there to, I get to be the face of some things, and that's cool. That doesn't rock my socks off. Me to be able to serve my employees, serve my managers, so I can serve my staff, so we can serve our clients. That's what leadership comes down to me. That's what it is for me.
That's awesome. I love that. Talking about today, because I think, from right now, compared to maybe 20, 30, 40, 50 years ago, I think there's been a difference in leaders. So I want to know what you think is lacking in leadership today.
Oh, yeah, that's good stuff right there. I think, when you get into passion, there's in 2020, 2021, there is more fake, I don't want to say fake people, but there's fake passion, all right? That people like, hey, I've been doing this for a year. I love being a fitness coach. Wow, a year. Okay, that's cool, man. You just got your toes wet. You know what I mean? So there's a lot of that. There's, I think the passion is number one. It should burn through your skin. It doesn't matter what the hours are. I have people complain to me about hours all the time. I used yesterday, Tuesday, man, 5 a.m., show up to work, left at 7:30 p.m. Yes, I got to take breaks here and there in between clients and stuff like that. Go do some restaurant, some admin work, get to sit down, do some stuff like this. But hey, you do the math on that's 14 and a half hours. I'm turned on, right? I'm in it, everything I possibly can to seize that day, to make myself better, make my team better, serve our clients better. But some of the things that I think are lacking is the communication. That has gone to the curbside. It is, people don't do this. We're not interacting face to face anymore. We're not communicating. I think, I've seen people literally try to cancel gym memberships in my gym, walk out to the parking lot and grab a hold of their cell phone and try to cancel their gym membership because they couldn't do this. They couldn't communicate. I think communication is a thing that we're really lacking. And the farther we go away from that, man, the leadership is going to get a little bit more fake. It's not going to be as genuine as it should be. And, that passion, you can tell I love this. I can hear it in your voice, man, you love this. Hey, we're on this thing together today. If we affect one person, I'm good.
I agree. I think you're right. I think communication has definitely been lacking for a long time. And I think it has to do, like you said, with all our technology that we have. It's easier to do it that way than back in the old days how we used to have to do it. You had to, like you said, you had to go man to man, face to face. You had to sign a contract, or it was just a handshake. Your handshake was as good as gold back in the day. I think a handshake.
Yep.
So I agree with you on communication. Now, who do you see, maybe for yourself, and it can be at a national level, it can be a local level, but who do you see as a leader?
Yeah, so who do I see as a leader? I know this sounds real crazy because, 10 years ago, I'd take advice from any millionaire, right? I don't care what industry they were in, like, hey, how they get successful, but some of them didn't do it the right way. They chased after every penny that they possibly could. Other leaders that I look at are anything in, there's somebody in high school, middle school, college that took a chance on me, right? They're going to get paid the same. High school coach, we know that. They're not getting paid tons of money to be out there. But those folks that are out there willing to give their time, our largest asset, to people to help them in any way, those are the people that I go after advice from them because they're real. They're doing it every single day and they're doing it for little. All right. And then other things are just, some of the people that I rely on for ideas is some of the younger creative people compared to myself. That they have, outside of my bubble, I seek the stuff that's out here, right? Because I'm in this bubble, I'm consumed in it, but I'm always trying to look out here for their ideas. And there might be someone over here looking in and be like, hey, your gym might be a little too intimidating. Maybe if you offer this part, I'd be more interested, or vice versa. If we get into my restaurant, we do packaged meals, we do meal prep. Most of all, our food is to go. It's convenient, it's healthy. Some people, throw in their suggestions, this, that, the other, and just hear, how we can improve on those things. Those people in those mentorship roles, I love that. I'm constantly, I use my phone in different ways than most people do. I use this for information and information only. Sometimes I don't even, communication with it, awesome, but I use my phone instead of wasting time and, people surfing on there to look for likes or this, that, the other. I use that phone as a source of information, and I constantly seek advice. Typically, I'm I'm fast to listen and slow to speak. That's kind of my approach. It's worked really well for me. But in terms of mentorship, anyone who's already created the wheel, who's already ran that play, I want to learn about that play, make a slight adjustment to it, and then I'm going to run that same play again.
Yeah, that's awesome advice. I think that's the hardest thing for especially men to take in. We have such big egos. We think we know all. Not everybody, but the majority of men, that's what we do. It's hard for us to take advice because we think we know. And I fell into that rut. I'll be honest, I was younger and stuff like that, thought I knew more. But over the last 5, 7, 8, 9, 10 years, I really know that I don't know all that much. And people like Coach Tab, the group that we're in, even people like you, and I go and look at certain things that you do, and I'm like, that's interesting. I take all that in now and learn from that. And I think you're exactly right. You can always learn from somebody. You can always have somebody who maybe, you don't think as a leader, but actually leads you to certain things. And I think you're exactly right. And I think that's phenomenal information for people out there. Self-discipline. Okay. What is it to you? What does self-discipline really mean to coach?
Yeah. So self-discipline for me is doing the right instead of the wrong, no matter what. Right. So that can look like a lot of different things. Hey, I might have an easy morning, or it might be the weekend, but I'm going to get up at 5 o'clock. Right. It's just going to happen. I made that habit. Right. So self-discipline is maybe looking within, finding you one or two areas that maybe you're not great at, maybe you're just good, all right? And forming a better habit, all right? So we can improve our self-discipline. And for some people, you know, I see this all the time, and maybe someone that's listening to this can relate, that are having like $13 or $15 lunches, right? You know, throw my restaurant out of the equation, that's $6. But, you know, I tell people all the time, you know, I call it the fat cat syndrome. When they start getting a little bit of success, the self-discipline starts slowly going back down, all right? I don't care what level of success you get. Some people it's financially, some people it's accolades, it's awards, whatever it might be. I always tell myself of self-discipline, you know, that fat cat syndrome is what I'm trying to fight against. You get success, you get lazy, you start slipping up. What does a cat do? They lay around all day, right? So, hey, we don't want to be that person who say, what are you doing on your lunch break? I hear this from people all the time. I'm going home to take a nap. I'm like, what? There's a great example of it. Or I just had police officers just get done training, right? Police officers catch a ton of slack, right? They get a little bit of success. They sit down a little bit, right? They start getting a little lazy. What happens to their physique? What happens to their strength? What happens to their stamina? They start getting tired. But firefighter, they fight to stay on the truck because they want the action, right? I've got a captain that's in my gym who's been a firefighter for 27 years. He wants to stay a captain. He doesn't want to go behind the desk. He doesn't want to become the chief. It's self-discipline. He loves it. He loves being a part of the action. He knows what's going to happen when he starts sitting on his butt every single day instead of being a part of it, right? So he wants to be in there. The impact that he makes on saving lives, improving his community. You know, what self-discipline does it take to keep himself in shape so he can perform that job even when he's 50, 55? You know what I mean? I asked him, I'm like, hey, when are you going to take the chief role and sit on the desk? Not going to do it, Mike. He's like, I'm going out on that truck. Or, you know, we're going to have a retirement ceremony where they say, hey, Rob, this isn't enough for you, man. You know what I mean? So, you know, self-discipline, that's what it looks like. For me, you know, fight against the fat cat syndrome, even if you're at the very bottom and you're super hungry, or if you're at the very, very top and you've got whatever you might have hit your goal for the last decade, for the last month, for the last week. You know, just because you did it one time, it's find something else that we can keep going after. And I like to use this, man. A lot of people probably haven't heard this. They probably even had one of these, a bologna cheese sandwich, right? You put that little, you think about that, you know, that's pretty symbolic. A bologna cheese sandwich, that is a working man's lunch. They have to get something in their belly. It costs them 60 cents. A loaf of bread will last you the entire week. Whatever it takes so you can get out there, work extra 30 minutes on yourself, work extra 30 minutes on the clock so you can get paid more. And that just looks like hustle. And, man, every now and then go buy yourself a loaf of bread. Yeah, it's probably terrible for us. Yes, it is. It's not great. But hey, just to get yourself back to your roots, man, to get yourself self-discipline. So your hands look like that whenever you get done with a day of work, because the stuff that we're seeing, you know, you got $20 lunches. I'm like, what are you doing? And then those are the same people that are complaining to you and me, how they want to improve. They want to get better. They want to do this. They want financial freedom. They want to get better in the weight room. They want to lose 10, 15 pounds. And I'm like, man, you just took an hour lunch and spent 25 bucks. You could have had a clean eats meal or bologna freaking cheese sandwich in 60 seconds. So you could have went for a 2-3 mile run. You could have done 100 push-ups, 100 sit-ups, 100 squats. That's what self-discipline looks like. For me, you know, getting up early, I typically, it's 5:30, boots are on the ground, regardless if I have to be at work at 5:15 in the morning. If it's the morning that I don't have to be at the gym till 7. That's sleeping in for me. That's pretty cool. You know, that might be an eggs and baking type of morning for me, but I typically try to spend some time on myself. You know, if that's anything with a podcast, doing some reading, book club, whatever it might be, but self-discipline, not letting this person go, right? So I can be the best version of myself every day. Not only am I serving myself, I'm serving others. So, hey, I've got to be self-disciplined. No one's going to follow your lead if you're not.
I agree. And I think that first example you gave with that fat cat syndrome is so important. because a lot of people do get success. They work hard to get success, and they forget what got them, what kept them there, what's going to continue to rise them up, and then they're frustrated when they're not continuing to rise. We got to go back and look, how'd you get there? Why work this? Now all of a sudden you're not working like that, and you lost that. I call it the mojo. You lost the mojo. You lost that drive that you had, and that is definitely self-discipline. I tell everybody I get to 3:30 every day, and they say, why do you do that? I said, well, first of all, it's self-discipline. It's not easy, but I got to get stuff done before my kids get up to get them ready for school and all that kind of stuff. So I agree with you. I think it's definitely something that happens, and I think it happens more often now than not, especially with young kids. They just expect success to be handed to them. It's going to come to them without doing any of the work. So I think that's great advice. I love it. Now I want to get a little personal with you here on this question. And maybe you don't fear anything, but if there is something you fear, what is it?
Oh man, yeah, I have plenty of fear, and most of it is within letting myself go, letting my standard of excellence drop. Right? If I get a little softer mentally, softer in my ass, right? I do that in 2021, right? 2022, I'm starting to lose it, right? I'm starting to lose that edge. So, staying mentally sharp, tough, hard, all right? I'm probably my biggest critic, right? If I make a slip, it's not going to just be seen by my clients. It's going to be seen by my GM. It's going to be seen by my other staff members. So those are some, that's probably like my number one fear is, hey, end game wise, I need to be sharp for the next 15 years. That could look like someone's high school athletic career for 4 years. They need to be sharp all 4 years. They slip up, hang out with the wrong crowd, and get introduced to some bad stuff that's going to affect them on the field. Hey, they slipped up, right? So different fears like that. You and me probably get, offered all kinds of wild stuff all the time. I'm not falling for any of the gimmicks, any of the fads. I don't mess around with any of that stuff. I just rely on a lot of hard work, a lot of self-discipline, and then my passion, right? So, biggest fear is letting my standard of excellence slip a little bit. If it goes down 1%, what say is going to stop it from going 1% down to 10%, right? And then just like momentum works, it's easy. When you start building momentum and you let that break, hey, now we're here, most of the time it comes back down. Just like the stock market every single day, right? We're going up, down, up, down. We want to ride that momentum as high as we possibly can. It's okay for us to go do this as long as we keep going this way. But if we stop, that's when, failure, doubt, discipline, all of those come in play. So being stagnant, being complacent is my number one fear. And I fight against that constantly.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's awesome. Now, big term that's getting me pushed around, okay, and it's been going on for about 2 years now, is this toxic masculinity. Do you believe it exists? And if you think it does, what is it?
Yeah, so, you're talking about, masculinity changing, weakening, right? Okay, yeah, that is definitely happening 110%. I'll use this example. Yesterday, I'm training a female. She's a mother of 3. She's going to do her first weightlifting meet. There's 35 people in my gym. 20 of them are in a group fitness class. The other 15 are using like our 24/7, like our strength training, trying to get her prepped. She's doing like snatch and clean and jerk for the weightlifting meet. She does 7 out of 8 of her lifts are great. 1 wasn't fantastic. I was like, hey, come here for a second. I was like, just stop. Don't even think about weightlifting. Look around the room right now and you tell me who the hardest working person in this room is. I've got four guys that are 21, 22, graduated college, think they're on top of the world. They're gossiping, talking about video games, talking about the girls in the gym. This comes from a mother of 3. She says, well, at least I know I'm outworking those guys. That's a mother of 3. And I sat there for a second and I was like, funny you asked that question. I was like, damn, when I was 21, 22, you would have had to tell me, hey, Mike, we need to slow down, maybe think about some rest, or vice versa. Hey, you've been in the gym for 90 minutes already. It's probably getting a little too close for too much. But, 3 hours into a gym, if you're doing this right, I'm sorry, 60 minutes, you know what I mean? You can highly effectively train yourself. So those other 2 hours look like a whole bunch of fluff, a whole bunch of BS. Those young men still have a lot of growth to do, right? And then, hey, I listen to these guys' conversations. They talk about different things than we do, right? They're talking about what they're doing on the weekend, talking about what girls they're going to chase after, this, that, the other. They're talking about eating at cookout when they get done training. They're talking about, the easiest way to be successful, the easiest way to make a quick buck. And all I hear is poor spending habits, undisciplined as all get out. A lot of that stuff is becoming a little softer for me, right? And I get that without leaders like yourself and me, masculinity it's dropping, man, and it's going to happen so rapidly. It starts with parenting, fathers and mothers, situations where there's not a father in the equation. I've seen some mothers do some incredible jobs raising some young men, some young kids, so I think it starts there. And at some point, it's going to have to click that, hey, we've got to get these young boys and morph and help mold and help motivate them to be better men, because this world needs that leadership, right? It's got to happen. It's awesome to still hear a female talk about, hey, they love a masculine man. Like, hey, that guy might be a little too soft for me, Mike, if you know what I mean. I'm like, that's awesome. Cool. You know what I mean? And hey, that's coming from a 17-year-old softball player.
Yeah.
She wants the tough, mentally and physically tough boyfriend, right? And, it doesn't happen to be around sports. It's a mentality, right? That, hey, if something bad happens to that person and, one bad thing happens in a day, crap, you and me, I do 12 bad things in a day, right? It's how I respond to it. But you hear, a 22-year-old guy have a tough day at work and that's all he's whining about. Are you kidding me, man? Like there's a speed bump. You're just getting started. You know what I mean? There's going to be some better, some 10 times, on a scale that's going to rock their world, and it's going to be 10 times tougher. So if they're not used to dealing with any adversity, any struggles, what I mean? And we're talking about, hey, your boss told you that you need to work a little harder and you got a little butt hurt, you know what I mean? So, with the toxic masculinity thing, man, I got a sign at my gym. It is called the butt hurt sign. And you can freely put anyone's name on it. And you know what? I got myself around a whole bunch of like-minded people, and we just put it on there for fun now. But if someone complains, if someone whines, if someone does something silly that we can make a joke of, we put it on there, man. And, the great thing about it is people don't want to get on that sign. They don't want to see Mike Garrett's name on there. Violation was a little too whiny, and the date on there, right? So that's incredible, you know what I mean? And some kids, they never had that pressure. They never had that put on them where, hey, we're trying to do the right thing 10 out of 10 times. If we fall short of that, we're 9 out of 10, right? And some of the masculinity things that I love to do, you're going to get, I hope get a kick out of this. People that know me on a personal level know I do an open fire cook on Friday nights. You make a fire. That's it. That's what we're doing for dinner on a Friday night. And I don't give a crap if you got any cooking skills or not. You're going to throw steak on there, some eggs, bacon, whatever you got to do. We'll make a beef stew. Use your wild imagination. But, people, we get into nutrition and stuff like that. 100 years ago, you got to go out there and get your own meat. I know people nowadays, that can't even load a magazine for a pistol. They can't even load a firearm. I'm like, hey, man, how do you expect to, have dinner? What would have happened to you 50 years ago? What would have happened to you 100 years ago? Stuff like that. In terms of other masculinity things that I've seen that have died out, this you get a kick out of this, and you might have to edit this part or whatever. I don't know what is going to turn of it, but going to do a concealed carry class. My employees are going to take care of it, whatever it costs. Whoever wants to sign up. I had a female on my staff organize that. Right, she first one signed up, picked a date, got everyone gung ho, fired up. I had more women show up for that class than I did guys. I had more women that want to protect themselves with the Second Amendment, have the ability to carry a firearm because, hey, it's 2021. They want to be safe. They want to feel safe. For me as an employer, I've got employees, managers, they all have their concealed carry permit. You know, if you go into my restaurant and do something stupid, I've got a line cook, I got a general manager, I got the lady behind the front cash register who are smart enough and care about their safety, their protection. It's a peace of mind thing, fantastic. Are they ever going to have to put a round or fire their firearm? We hope not, right? It's not, we're not trying to scare people off, but it is a mentality and masculinity. I hear guys, oh, I don't want to touch a gun. Don't bring that thing near me. I'm like, we're an open carry state. North Carolina is. There's a lot of states that are, right? And then, hey, there's a lot of states, you know, there's literally, I think, only 8. You're going to have to research this and fact check me on this. There's like 8 of them that don't allow the concealed carry, right? So, yes, you got to go out and get a permit and stuff like that, put the time and the effort in to do that. But, you know, I've got women right now that I can tell you can fire a pistol and a rifle and a shotgun to be able to protect their families, feed their families better than men. That's a sad thing. Yeah, so, you know, more toxin, you know, addiction to this, addiction in it the wrong way. I hear 30-year-old men talking about playing video games with their buddies religiously. You know, I'm all about having a balance, right? Like there's time for intensity, and maybe most people that looks like a Monday through Friday, and then maybe play some video games with your buddies. If you're 30, you know, to relax, to turn your mind off for an hour. But if you're 30-year-old friends and you are playing video games 6 nights of the week, yes, that's a problem. So there's some things that I'll touch on that, but you know, I've seen we're weakening in that department, and it's going to take some leadership. I believe this podcast that you're doing can help push some people in that area as well. And hopefully, you know, if you got an open mind, you're willing to learn and gather information every single day of your life, yeah, this would be helpful for you.
No, I agree. And I think you nailed a lot of things there with that whole thing that's going on in society, where you see the weaknesses and where we need to work on as men. We need to grow up, and we need to get back to, you know, doing the things that we need to do, like you said, to protect the opposite sex, protect ourselves, and protect our families. And I think it's important. Mental toughness, you hit on it a little bit, but I wanted you to go in a little more detail. What does mental toughness mean to you?
Yeah, so mental toughness is being able to give punches and take punches. And some days you're going to get punched way more than you get a chance to give out a punch. You know, we just use that, but hey, that's going to be looking like some dealing with adversity, dealing with wins and losses, staying humble in your greatest moments, staying humble in your worst moments, staying respectful in your best moments, staying respectful in your worst moments. So mental toughness for me, you know, it boils down to, you know, what you've got going through your head, what you tell yourself, and how you analyze information, right? So if, you know, what I tell myself, I'm not sure if I can do this. I'm not sure if you've got constant self-doubt, you know what I mean? You've got to change that into a positive thought. I tell people, you know, most of it's more aggressive, you know what I mean? Like, you know, for females, you know, I put them in attack mode, man, right? And for my guys, okay, there's going to be a moment during this 7-second play, I need you to be a bad SOB. And whatever that looks like, you know, delivering a blow, being aggressive, we need to be telling ourselves that hey, all the time, feeding ourselves positive information, telling ourselves that we can. I believe anybody can do anything on this earth, right? I've seen people who are number 1 or 2 in the tech world who know zero about tech, right? Nothing about a computer, right? There's people but they position themselves that way. They've got themselves into a very, very strong mindset, and they're not going to let anything crack it, anything break that momentum, or anything weaken it. I tell people all the time, you can have someone tell me you're the worst player, you suck at this, that, the other. Hey, you should use that as motivation. If you're mentally tough, hey, you'll find a way to jar that up. Keep that to yourself internally and use that energy for a positive thing. Other mental toughness things, how you deal with that adversity. We talk about, 9 out of 10 times in life, it's, 90% of it is how you deal with adversity. No, when people give you the answer of no, or you keep on failing over and over and over and you're getting frustrated with yourself. So mental toughness, it looks a lot different for each person because of careers, because of skill sets and stuff like that. But it's got to be positive information that you're putting in your ear, in between your ears all the time. Positivity can overcome almost anything on this earth. I truly believe that. But, some mental toughness things, go back to discipline. What you do, you set yourself off. I set 20, 30 minutes for reading and gathering information, podcast, book, it doesn't matter, right? Audio book, whatever it might be. And for some people, we might recommend some mental toughness books or some self-help books, but everyone has the ability to develop some type of mental toughness, and it looks different for each person. But I'd never let the failures make me fall too far, right? So it might knock me down a little bit, but you're not going to see me crumble. I'm not going to go cry in the back corner and say, hey, I can't do this, right? Most of the time, ask for an extra minute or two. Hey, can I get back with you tomorrow? Deal with that information that you just dealt with, gather it, assess it, come up with a plan, right? The better you can act on it, the sooner you can act on it, is always going to be a better thing. So mental toughness, just an example for me, when I tried to open up my healthy restaurant, they told me no 3 times. Like I literally went for an interview, they told me no. They told me I was going to spend too much time on my gym, not on my restaurant with nutrition. Went back again, they're like, hey Mike, this isn't going to work. Goldsboro's too small, there's another no. I go back again, hey Mike, you're going to be spending too much money for a startup. The building that you want to move in is not a restaurant currently, so you're going to have to buy all restaurant equipment. You're going to have to buy hood. There's another no. So obstacle, kept on getting hit with no's and failure. And hey, mentally, I knew what I wanted. I stayed tough. I kept on pressing forward. Regardless if it was going to be this brand or whatever brand, I was going to bring in a healthy, nutritional restaurant that pairs with my gym. And it was just awesome. I dealt with that adversity, and it's made our relationship better because I communicated the whole entire time. They told me no, and I didn't spit in their face. You know what I mean? I didn't get disappointed and cry myself to sleep, right? I kept a positive attitude, and I was like, all right, let's try a different angle, right? Just try, stay positive. If you act out and say something incorrect, or you say something ugly, or if you show frustration, you think that person wants to work with you? Absolutely not, right? So being mentally tough looks like a lot of different things for a lot of different folks, but everyone has the ability to let positivity affect their life.
Awesome stuff. Now go back, I want to get a little personal with this question as well. What's one of your biggest failures, you personally, in life, or a learning experience, maybe phrase it that way, but one of your failures or biggest learning experience that you had?
Awesome. Great. I'm glad you asked that, man. So high school athletics, this goes back to the fat cat syndrome. I was a junior, I can name, I don't want to brag, but I had 30 plus athletic scholarships, D1 colleges, you name the sport I was playing in. Football, baseball, soccer, basketball, you name it. I knew I was going to have success. I knew I was going to go to college. I stepped up. I was up for showboating games. Maybe we were up by 30 in football. I showboated a little bit. Maybe I started hanging out with the wrong crowd. I got lazy in my work ethic. Some of the areas I started to slip. And that was the first time, right, that I had the fat cat syndrome. And I let my confidence get a little too high, right? I didn't stay humble. I didn't stay hungry. So, hey, it affected me a little bit in those areas. Yeah, I got myself into some trouble, dealt with some adversity because of it. That was probably the first time that I dealt with failure. So at 17, when I say sports and fitness saved my life, it truly did, because, hey, I literally had like my head coach come to my house on a Saturday morning. And it was like, hey, Mike, Garrett, we got to talk. Yank me out of my bed, right? Give me some tough love, right? In that moment, I was like, holy crap, like what the heck's going on? I'm slipping up. You know, why is this guy busting my chops? This, that, the other? Because he cared. He loved me enough that he cared. He went the extra mile, the extra step to drive to my house. I grew up in a horrible situation, right? I was mom. We lived in a single wide, no floors in the bathroom, you name it. I was running around with a really, really tough crowd, right? So, and I knew I was athletic and had the ability. That was after the offers came in, right? So the offers came in. I slipped up. So that was my biggest taste of failure. And honestly, I think that first taste of it helped morph and motivate me to tell you about some of the things that I do for self-discipline. But that was the first time someone like really got into me with some tough love and gave me a good, nice little tune-up. And that tune-up stays with me today. And that was 20-something years ago.
That's awesome. That's awesome. So last question here. Right? 3 characteristics you would consider to be a real man.
Yeah, awesome question. Awesome question. Brave, and that looks like a lot for different folks. Fitness and, you know, sports, you know, being brave. First 10 on the line to do sprints. You're the first one up there, right? You're going to display. You got some courage. You got some guts. You're not afraid of whatever the task is, right? Being brave in different areas. That can look like several different things, but I think 1 is being brave. 2 is being respectful, self-respect, right? And respectful of everyone around you. And I think the last leadership ability is being caring, all right? And that looks a lot like, you know, me caring for my staff, me caring for my training partners, me caring for my teammates, for my team members, for my coworkers, all right? So I really think if you can have those 3 things, you're gonna be in a leadership position wherever, if that's in the tech industry, if that's in construction, if that's in fitness, if that's in sports. So, you know, being brave, having the guts to step up on the line first, regardless of what it might be, you know, law enforcement or sports, being brave, being the first one that's willing to be nervous and stand on that line and execute, or if not, try to give your 110%. That's going to go a long, long way. Most people don't even start because they're so afraid, right? They're afraid of the failure. They're not brave enough to make that step to go gain that information, or look completely foolish because you don't know what you're doing. The second thing is, you know, self-respect and respecting others. The third thing is caring. You know, show some other people some love every now and then. You know, that's gone. You know what I mean? I'm all about supporting, empowering, and showing other people love regardless of, you know, what that might look like. You know what I mean? Some people it's tough love. Some people it is straight up, hey, I love you, man. You're awesome. Have a great day. You know what I mean? And that goes with communication. So with those 3 things there, man, being brave, respect, and caring, I think those are 3 things that every leader should possess. And then all the different industries that might look completely different. But, you know, when someone gets done with a work shift, showing them a little bit of respect, showing them a little bit that you care. And that can go a long way by just saying, hey, great job today. I love everything you do for us. Enjoy your evening.
I agree, man. I think those 3 are really invaluable. And I think, you know, coming from, you know, talking about it with, you know, men and stuff like that, we got to have those kind of things. You know, I think all 3 of those are very, very valuable. So I love it. Coach Mike, I appreciate you, man, being on. This was phenomenal. The vast knowledge I got from you, all the wisdom and stuff like that. is valuable. And I know the people out there listening, especially the men, they're going to take this and they're going to run. And if you heard his talk, he had failure. All right. Just because he's having success now in his business and stuff like that, he learned from his failure. And I think so many people don't want to make a mistake in today's society because they're afraid of the repercussions or afraid of just failure in general, that they never grow. You grew from all your failures. You still have that in the back of your head, that failure you had back in high school. And that's what drives you now. And that's what I think young men need to hear. You're going to fail. I failed. You continue to fail. I guarantee you, I continue to fail every day. But guess what?
Yep.
We learn, we grow, we accept it, and we move on. We learn from it. And I think that's key. So I appreciate you saying that. I greatly, happy to have you on, and I'm definitely going to have you on again. And I know I'm doing roundtable discussions with a bunch of men. I'd love to have you jump in at times and, just give them input on with different guys out there and just get involved. Because I think this is something that is, like you said, plaguing men today. We need more real men to step up and be who we're supposed to be, who God intended us to be and put us on this earth to be. And we're failing right now, I really think, overall. So I appreciate you being on, Mike. Thank you so much, man. I wish you all the best.
Thank you, man. Big love for you, man. I appreciate it.